All right. 20 seconds.
All right. Hello, everybody. We are the Bar Down Beauties podcast. I'm Jesse Pierce. She's Alexis Pierce, and producer Fred is going to take off. So my dear cousin and our favorite helper, Emily Lacoste, on here. Joining us now, power skating coach and trainer. Correct? Did I get that right? I feel like I jumbled it.
Skills and skating.
Skills and skating. You know,
Come on,
cool
Jesse.
guy. Cool guy. We were just talking about the Hill Murray Pioneers. You're a Hill Murray alum. The Pioneers hockey team actually swung by earlier. They said that they are not playing Andover. Andover is playing them.
Yeah. They said 10-0
right.
was going to be the final score.
10-0,
Was
yes.
their prediction.
Yep.
Well, it's funny because the Hill Murray, now it's like the next generation of kids. It's like you see the names like Godbout and those are all from circa the 90s, you know, and now it's just their kids.
Yep.
And it's just that's how Hill Murray works.
I know.
Kids, my parents went there. I went there. My sisters went there. You know, I don't live in St. Paul anymore, so my kids will there'll be Southsiders now. So
okay, we'll allow it. I mean, so you're used to getting the flack too, being a Hill Murray. It's hard. It's hard to be a Hill Murray player at this tournament. Though.
Yeah, and it's even cool, you know, with even the Wild or the Iowa Wild, how many Minnesota guys in flavor we have. Even like Ryan Carter, White Bear guy. You know, so you can go back and talk to him. It always comes back to like high school hockey. You know, so it's really neat how that works.
I know. Yeah. Talk a little bit about your job. You know these guys pretty well. They're skating with you. You're the guy that gets them ready, gets them back in shape from injury. Tell everybody a little bit about what you do exactly.
So what I do, you know, in the fall we'll do training. So I get to skate with them. The skills and skating coaches around the National Hockey League get to skate with them before the coaches can take them, whatever that date is in October. So I can take them in the summer. And then we start in the fall, then we move over to TRIA, and then as guys start filtering in, so I take them before the season starts. Sure. So a lot of guys will even start like Spurgeon and Foligno and guys that live around here in the Metro or come back from the Metro. We'll start in July or in August, and then we'll start to kind of ramp up from there. So as guys start to trickle back in, then we'll skate them, and then my job is to get them ready. And then as soon as the camp starts, then Dean and staff takes them from there. And then throughout the year, so what I do is I take a lot of the injured guys. Last year, COVID guys. So I'm left. So the team's gone right now, and I'm left behind. And usually we'll end up skating, you know, when the team's gone, I'll skate the guys that are left back here.
Sure.
So the guys that are hurt are the guys that last year with COVID, and it was like.
So when Greener and Dumba were hurt on that recent trip, when they went to Canada.
Right. So the process is that I'll skate them. They work out with Sean and they work out with Trey, and they get it's a full day thing because they have to get their treatment. They have to get, if they have doctor's appointments or whatever they need to do, go to TRIA or whatever they need to get done. And then the progress eventually is to get them back to practice, and then they get back to practice, and then hopefully into the game situation. And we take, you know, a lot of pride in getting them ready and getting them prepared to play. So when they get back into the game, they're not just playing, but they're actually performing, you know, and that's the biggest thing that I really love about the job. I also go down to Iowa. So I'm going to go to Iowa tomorrow. Nice. There's a game tomorrow. We play Vegas's American League team in Iowa. So I'm going to go down there tomorrow night, and then I'll come back for Mikko's game Sunday. So it'll be fun. It'll be a fun weekend with the tournament and that too. So
busy guy. I know Zach Parisi always speaks so incredibly highly of you and how you've really helped him. He's battled with injuries, but just in general, I mean, I think when people think of Zach Parisi, they obviously think hard worker, right? And I mean, how much did you see that work ethic every time he was with you?
So he started. So my mom, she's the power skating, and she's just the skating. So we started with Zach when he was at Shattuck, and he was, I don't know, 16, 17 years old. And he came down, and with Zach's group, it was that Shattuck group was, I mean, half of them were in the NHL between Drew Stafford, that's maybe Chris Porter, Kyle Post. I mean, it was like one NHL guy after another. And so they all came down, they skated with us as he progressed through Shattuck and then through North Dakota. And so we've known Zach for a long time, and I've gotten to see him. The funny thing with Zach is he was never his like hockey ability, his shooting, his puck hand, all of that was just it came more natural, and he really worked at it. And that was the thing. But skating was never really natural for him, so he really had to work at his skating. And he got, the height, 09, 2010, when he was with the Devils and everything.
Yeah.
That's when he really just took off once his skating took off, he just took off as a player too.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say, for all the different guys that you see, all the different athletes that you come across, that you work with, what is the toughest part of your job? Talking about somebody like Zach,
Right.
who you're saying isn't maybe naturally skating, isn't his highlight reel move. How do you get some of those athletes who maybe the skating isn't as natural to them as the
Right.
shooting or the competitiveness? How do you get them to that level?
Well, and that's the thing is, with every skater is different. Every player is different. You got Jared Spurgeon, who was 5'9", and Jordan Green, who was 6'6", and then everything in between. And that's kind of the cool thing, is that everybody brings a different skill set.
Right.
And so when I get to work with them individually or in a smaller group, I get to specifically work on the type of player that they are, And
Yeah.
so whoever, so for example, like Spurgeon, I had him for a few weeks before we got we'll kind of plan out what he's going to do, and then try to ramp up, but then get to work with kind of the type of player that he is.
Mhm.
And the one day he came, and when we were in Chicago, they were in Chicago, the day before the hockey game in Minnesota, I got to have
Mhm.
Brodeen and Spurgeon together. So it was how much better can you get than that,
right,
So
right.
we skated with them together, and they, everybody's skill set's different. So we watch Kirill, we watch him. His hips are so good. He's so strong on the puck. He's got such a strong base.
Mhm.
And then some guys, they can't open their hips up. And
Yeah.
so we can work on what they need to work on, but we can also don't forget about why they're there and what their strengths are,
Sure.
and then work on their strengths as well. And just trying to give confidence back as they come back. The things that we're able to do, luckily, was we're able to do a lot of individual stuff where they probably can't get at a regular practice. I mean, you guys
Sure.
have seen regular practices.
Mhm.
They're fast tempo, they're high pace, and they're short. A lot of them are half hour, 45 minutes, and then they get off. So we get to do a lot more skill work when it's that individual.
Right.
But yeah, it's fun because, like I said, every player's different, every skater's different. So we get to really tailor what we want to do with them around what their skill set is.
I love it. Again, we are the Bar Down Beauties podcast, joined by Andy Ness, who knows some of the best of the best. We've got an audience. Who are your guys' favorite players? You got a favorite player? No? You're just enjoying the chairs. That's fine. We got plenty of open seats. Feel free to stop on by. You can ask us some questions. Andy, my question is, you mentioned Kirill, right? The edges. Have you seen a
Right.
player that can literally skate circles around teams?
Right.
I mean, what makes him so unique? Is it just the way that he does position his hips? I mean, tell us
Right.
about how special
So
he is.
I noticed, right, like when he came last year, he stepped on the ice, and that was the first time he stepped on the ice with the Wild, was our pre-skates that I got to skate him. And Kirill, you look at him, and he's not shaped like an Eichel or Dylan
Yeah.
Larkin or McDavid, or those guys that are kind of tall, lean, long legs, long stride type of guys.
Mhm.
And then I was watching him like, wow, this guy really floats on the,
It looks like he's just literally floating above it.
Yeah.
He almost floats, and he glides so well, and he's really good with his hips, where he opens his hips up. You see him do it almost, and Zuccarello does it too, where their hips are so good. So he's able to face the play as he's moving, and they can protect the puck that way too. But he's also able, when he cuts, he's able to separate, and it's almost like the puck's just a magnet to his stick too.
Yeah.
Even when he loses it, he's able to grab it right
Yeah.
away again.
Yeah.
But he again, everybody, you go up and down the line, and everybody brings something different to the team, which is what a team is, right? And so, but his skating surprised me the most, I think, just because when I first looked at him, I said, oh, he's a stocky, stronger guy. I
Yeah.
didn't expect him to be that efficient on the ice.
Sure.
So, there's in sports, there's so many skill sets, and I'm talking just sports across the board, where if you don't learn it early, it's really hard to learn it later.
Yep.
Even if you do get to that professional level.
Right.
Would you say skating is one of those things? I'm not talking about just the ability to skate,
Right.
but some of those things that
Really
Kirill
skate.
Kaprizov does really well, and other players
Right.
like him. Is that something that is quote unquote easy to teach as they get older, or is it something you got to learn when you're young?
Yeah, I think the best way is if you can get it down as you're young, especially like, for example, the Mohawks, the hip where you open your hips up, those type of things.
Yeah.
If you can get those younger, then it's easier as they get older. It's harder when they're a little older and not as flexible, let's say, to teach different things like that. So the better skater you can become as you're younger, and you just build off of that. And like we always say, like when we work with younger kids, when they become a better skater as they're younger, we can teach them harder skills as they get to Pee Wee and Bantam. We can't teach them harder skills if they don't have a foundation. And that's the biggest thing that people have to understand. They want to do, this spin around, all this kind of stuff. And it's like, well, we don't have the basic foundation yet. So we get that down and then build off of that. And then you got something to work with.
I love it. Again, we are the Bar Down Beauties podcast. We release new episodes on all podcast streams every single Monday. Our latest one was with Mikko Koivu. Andy, did you get to work with Mikko? Tell us about what that was like working with the now soon to be retired Jersey.
He's so awesome. He's just a professional, right? Like he's so stoic. He's almost, and that's just how he is as a person too. He's almost, I can't say a better word than he's just so professional. Everything he does is professional. Comes in, he's always dressed to the nines. He comes in, he warms up, he does everything the right way. And I got to talk to him a lot about when I work with these guys individually. There's a lot of alone time with them, but I said, what's your secret for face-offs? And he said, you have to go through the process of when he was younger. He goes, I wasn't as good as when I was younger, but he goes, I took thousands upon thousands of face-offs in a game situation. And he goes, I took them everywhere on the ice. You'll see now young kids won't take them on their bad side because they'll defer to somebody else. Yeah. And you'll see that a lot because obviously they want to win, but you're not going through the development of what you need to do. And that's why he was so good. He got to a point where he knew what this guy was trying to do. He knew the ref, he knew everything. And that's just experience. And I think that's what development is, but it's really cool to hear him, specifically talk about that stuff. And I always talk to the guys, whether it's Brodin in Sweden or Mikko in Finland or all these guys around the world, you get to talk to and say, what is your youth hockey program like? Like, what is this like? What did you guys do there differently than here? And that's really cool as well. So, and the one thing Mikko talked about actually in youth hockey in Finland is more cooperative than competitive. So he said when they would play, and I just can't even imagine this, like going to a Squirt A game where the coaches of one team are helping the actual kids on the other team. He says that's what happens in Finland. He goes, we all work together.
Because you want to get the players to
we work for a common goal. Like this team, just because you coach this team, you're still trying to help this team, which is really a unique deal. So, but Mikko he's an absolute phenomenal guy. I still see him. He comes to the games and things, so I get to see him around like that. And now he's got his own little guys, so I get to see them too. So
very cool.
Yeah.
You talked really early on in the interview about how, a big part of your job is kind of the rehab aspect and getting these guys ready to go again in real game action. Do you find yourself having to kind of manage the mental aspect that comes with dealing with an injury, especially at that pro level? And if you're out for a while, how does that play into your job, even though that's not what you're doing, but you have to manage it as well?
No, it's 100. You're exactly right, because a lot of it is a mental thing, especially if the injury takes longer.
Yeah.
And some guys they're just wired. They're not patient. They want to play right away. And specifically some guys who on the team, like right away, oh, I'm fine, I can play. And now as they get older, they understand like there is a process. You start to feel better. And then you have to just see the big picture. Like you can see like, you're going to as you start to progress, this is going to happen, then this is going to happen, and then you'll be ready for practice. But that is a big thing is the mental piece too. And I think the veteran guys it's amazing, like to see veteran guys that have been through it, their mental ability to see the big picture as opposed to like younger guys who just want to go, and sometimes you just got to say, no, let's take it a step back. It's otherwise, if we have a groin injury and you're just going, you're not, it's not going to be better. We're going to keep re-injuring it. So, but that is a big piece too. And guys get that. And that's part of, again, a lot of the stuff that I do that I learn as well.
I love it. Is there one guy that you can think of that you saw just tremendous strides, pun intended, come in his skating? Is there anybody that really sticks out to you that it's like, wow, he really, really improved? I mean, maybe Zach was one of those guys like you had mentioned.
There was a lot. I mean, there's been a lot of guys that have, and remember, like even at that level, like little improvements make such a big difference too. But
there goes Wes Walls, our former guest. See you later, Wes.
Are those all his kids?
But I think there's a lot of guys, and the other thing too is like not just improving, but let's say like a guy like like Spurgeon or like Goligoski, just
Sure.
to stay at that level, they have to continue to work. Now,
Right.
maybe they don't get better like a 20-year-old would, but they have to, because as soon as their game declines, and that's when you see guys, especially with their skating, that's when you see guys on the out. And I think that's the biggest thing. You guys can even see during the game, the pace and everything. And I think once your skating goes, it's really hard to stay with the game. And, you know, I go down to Iowa and the practices, you got, you know, your younger guys down there.
Mhm.
They're so grueling. Like you guys see the Wild, it's more of a stay sharp, make sure guys stay fresh, a lot of touches, things like that. Where in Iowa, it's like, it is a grind and it's grueling, but it's a different thing where you have your younger players in there. They have to get better. Like they just have to get better, or else they, you know, they get passed up. So,
Right.
But yeah, a lot of guys you'll see big improvement. Like Zach, I mean, you can look at guys, and Zach's a good example. I remember off the top of my head, the rookie year, 30 points, next year, 30 points, next year, 60 points, 60 points, and then 90 points. So you can just see the process kind of play itself out.
Yep.
And that's ideally what you want to see. So.
Right. So if I'm starting at like a -6 in my skating,
Yeah.
what can you bring me to? I'm a little over the hill maybe, but what can you do for my skating?
Oh,
skills?
it's amazing. We went, we had my daughter's U10 team. We went over to Tree on Monday, and my wife just got these Bauer lifestyle skates. She's like, oh, they look so cool. Like, she's just concerned about the way they look. we actually, let's try them out. But, you know, just showing her a couple things. Like, this is what you do. This is how you use your legs. Bend here, flex your ankles here. When you feel like you're going to fall, grab your knees so you don't fall back in your head, and just little things like that. But you can definitely improve with the right kind of instruction.
Yeah.
Right. Do you work with women's players as well, or are you focused just on the NHL?
No, we have, girls at our camp.
Okay.
We did the 2010 Olympic team. So,
Nice.
and we did the Gophers for a long time, which was an awesome team. So Gigi's, that was her team with Brad Frost. So I think 6 years or so we did the women's Gophers, and that led into the 2010 Olympic team. And then I can't remember, then we started with the Devils in like 09, I think.
Okay.
And then it kind of worked through, and then I worked it up to the Wild here. Brad Bombardier, when he got hired, had called me, and it's all blur now. But so he had called me, and then I started with the Wild, and my job and my role has progressed since that time. So
I love it, because I'm telling you, those ladies can fly. You guys all watch women's hockey too? Big fans? Yes. Let's hear it for them, because Kendall Coyne proved that, right?
Yeah, she could fly.
Jeez.
And they're just getting better, and it's so great. Like I and my daughter, she just started last year, but her team, like, I just saw the camaraderie, everything about it. It's so awesome, and for the girls to have that, because I'm just thinking, if she didn't have that, like, what would we do in the winter? She's short like I am. She's not going to be a basketball player, and so but it's so great to see, and just to see the numbers and to see the girls' game improve it as it has, and it's a lot of fun.
All right. So. Speaking of girls hockey, if you can name me one female Olympian from this most recent 2022 team, you can win a free Bar Down Beauty shirt. Just one name, preferably Minnesotan. There were plenty to pick from, but if you can tell me one 2022 U.S. Women's Olympian, you can come get a free shirt. Again, we are the Bar Down Beauties. Connor Brope, what's up, man? Our favorite e-bug in the house.
Oh, there he is.
Coming on through. Yes, Beaupre, like the dad Don Beaupre. Also a goal.
Connor's the cooler one, though.
He's our practice goalie at the Wild.
Yes, exactly. Our favorite e-bug. Just always hanging out, not eating. Take some good photos of us.
Yeah, get my good side, Connor.
Yeah, get you in there. So again, Andy Ness joining us. Andy, what else? I mean, you have clinics for kids too, right? And you work outside. So why don't you tell people about that and how they can maybe find out more about?
We do. Our camp's called Pro Edge Power, and so my mom started that. This is, I think, like 89-ish, long time ago.
Yeah.
And so as we've progressed, I took over about 7-8 years ago, and she still works. So instead of her paying me, now I pay her. So it's just different. But
that's kind
of funny how that switches.
Yeah, exactly. So we do a lot of small groups is our big thing that we do. So we do we have 4 or 5, 6 guys that work for me, like Chris Porter. And Troy Stevens, and guys like that. Chris Porter played for the Wild here.
I used to have a big crush on Chris Porter.
Yeah, my daughter does.
I'm sorry.
She keeps asking to do lessons with Chris. I'm like, I know why. anyway, so we do a lot of small groups, and we teach a skill, a couple of skills, and then we split up, and the coaches will take 5 kids, and then we work it. So we do a lot of more individualized things, or smaller groups, not as much as the camps that we used to run, like 40, 50 kids on the ice. We don't do that anymore.
Sure.
And so we do youth camps. We do them out of Highland in St. Paul, right up down West 7th here.
Nice.
Tria and Braemar.
Awesome.
So our south stuff is out of Braemar. So
there you guys go. If you want some elite training skills, you got to check out Andy Ness and Pro Edge. They are the very best. Andy, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Again, we are the Bar Down Beauties podcast. We will have guests rocking and rolling all day today, all day tomorrow. Natalie Darwitz will be joining us in just a little bit. So that'll be, you work with Natalie too?
I know Natalie.
You know Natalie. You'll have to stick around and say hello. So we've got plenty of folks stopping on by. Be sure to come through. Show us you subscribe to our YouTube. You'll get a free sticker. And again, if you can name me just one 2022 U.S. Women's Olympian, I can get you a free Bar Down Beauties t-shirt. While you're here, be sure to check out our buds over at Soda Stick, the Marcus Foligno Fan Club, shirts, Bar Down Beauty hats, all of that for sale. Also go check out our friends at JOG Athletics. They got some pretty cool stuff. If you say the password Go Zeffs, I don't know who picked that one, you can maybe get a free t-shirt. So be sure to check that out. Again, you guys are all awesome. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.